Hello and welcome to the American Recut. My name is Nick. Today I'll be doing a solo review due to various complications with recording, getting people on board with things. The usual issue with friends. Who needs them? Anyways, today I'll be talking about Parasite, the 2019 Academy Award-winning film directed by Bong Joon-ho. In this film, just for a rough synopsis of the film, a family of parasites, the Kim family, move in, and over the course of a few months, a few weeks, at times a little bit diluted here, it's hard to tell, but they kind of infiltrate the lives of the Park family, and eventually drama arises from this. Now, this is a fairly basic premise for any movie, and this is a very tight frame of reference for any movie. The general idea behind this film is that you're looking much more at the interdynamics between these families rather than any big scale thing. But anyways, let's get into the review and the basic points. First off, our characters. Our primary characters are the members of the Kim family, which is a nuclear family in the American sense, a mother, a father, a son, and a daughter. Unfortunately, since this is a South Korean film, and I will have trouble with the names no matter how hard I work with them, I will do what I can, but I'll generally be addressing them as the Kim family, or possibly as the Parasite family. I like all of these characters quite a bit. They all have very dynamic personalities. Each one is incredibly unique in how they perform, and in terms of how they serve the structure and the narrative, I find them to be extremely useful for that. In particular, I like the daughter of the Kim family, possibly the best of all the characters in this movie. She is incredibly dynamic. She has a ton of control over any situation she's in, and I love watching her work on screen. Similarly, with the Park family, who are this very rich upper-class family, who are kind of snobs, kind of idiots. I like them in the sense that I have an exact reason to hate them, and their performance works very well with that. I like almost every character in this movie. I don't think I have any major qualms with any character in particular. In terms of the effects of this movie is fairly light on effects, much more focused on the interpersonal drama of the families and the shot composition, which, as always with any Bong Joon-ho film, is excellent. Shots look excellent. The effects, where they're needed, look pretty good. The set design is gorgeous, as is always the case. And I really like the effects of this movie. In terms of themes, we have a lot of things going on in this film. This is possibly one of the best parts of this film, is the theming and the various metaphors, symbolism, and messages that are going on in this movie across all kinds of different situations that are happening. If you like walking out of films and having to talk about them at length and having two people get very different reads on a film, I highly recommend this film for that. Right. And finally, the story of this film. As I mentioned before when talking about the characters, it's a fairly tight story, very basic, redo on that line. I want to say it has very low priorities, a very low scale incidents that happen in this movie, but that really works to the advantage of this movie. Bong Joon-ho is kind of an expert when it comes to these very tight stories about just a group of individuals and what they want. So, overall, I would highly recommend this movie. This is an excellent movie. See it while it has this limited re-release in theaters. Rent it. Watch it at least once. Highly recommend this film. Now, getting into spoiler territory. This movie does a lot of very interesting things with class dynamics. I think that one of the most interesting facets of this movie is the fact that this is the Kim family and them being kind of parasites, but exceptionally skilled in the various things that they want to do or the various things that they take over in the house. They are incredibly gifted, incredibly smart, and seemingly the only reason that their long life is so low is because they're constantly scheming or they just got screwed by life. By comparison, the Park family, who are the rich family that get taken advantage of in this movie, and eventually some people get killed in it, I found them to be incredibly grating characters who were all just absolutely terrible people, but terrible in the sense that you can root against them. I found that there's so much to this movie, I don't really want to get into super spoilers for it, but I will say that this movie has a lot to discuss and a lot to think about, especially when it comes to events that happen later on in the movie with the housekeeper and her whole story. I found that really fun. The movie's ending is a little bit. It kind of goes off the rails a little bit in terms of like the way the story is paced before it and a little bit after it. But it goes off the rails into the heavily metaphoric, symbolic territory, which I found to be extremely satisfying. I think that as far as spoilers go, there's not that much to spoil in this movie. It's very art house. You kind of get an idea of what's going to happen with it. It's much more about the discussions and what you take away from the film at the end of the day than about a specific message being pushed by Bong Joon-ho. And with that, then, I would highly recommend this film. The characters and the interactions are incredibly dynamic. The messages that come from this movie are incredibly varied and deep. There's a lot of different ways you can take many, many elements of the film. The way the women act versus the men, the way that the rich act versus the poor, the way that they bond between each other, the interactions between the children of each family. There's a lot going on with this film that I highly, highly recommend digging into when you have a chance. As always, the shot composition is beautiful. Yeah, this is one of Bong Joon-ho's finest films. I cannot recommend it enough. I am sorry that I missed this last year. Alright, well, thank you for joining me. I hope that in the future we can do more solo projects as we both have our own tastes and interests. But if not, we'll probably try to have these be videos that are a bit on the shorter side, where we just get into our own opinions and our own brief overviews of them. Thanks for joining me.